Welcome to Inside Marketing with Market Surge, your front row seat to the boldest ideas and smartest strategies in the marketing game. Your host is Reed Hansen, Chief Growth Officer at Market Surge.
Hello and welcome back to Inside Marketing with Market Surge. My guest today is Ken Tucker, founder of Changescape Web, Amazon bestselling author, and co-host of two long-running podcasts, Marketing Guides for Small Businesses and AI Guides for Small Businesses. Ken specializes in helping small businesses bridge the gap between cutting-edge AI tools and authentic human connection. He's built AI-driven marketing systems that don't just automate tasks, they also create real conversions and stronger relationships. With over 240 podcast episodes, conversations with legends like Guy Kawasaki and Jay Baer, and a new edition of his book, Content Marketing for Local Search, Ken brings a rare mix of tactical insights and big picture vision. Ken, I'm so glad to have you on the show. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Reed. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, great. Well, this is actually a topic of interest because, I have a marketing agency and we're always facing this push and pull of the quantity and speed you can generate content with AI and the need for human connection.
Right.
So what do you think a lot of small businesses are getting right and wrong with the way they use AI in their marketing?
Yeah. So the biggest mistake, I think, is that many small businesses are intimidated and aren't even using AI. So I think that's a big mistake. And I think, there are ways to test the water to get started there. But for those businesses that are using AI, my big fear and what I've seen so far is that people plug something into Chat GPT, a simple prompt, and they get the result back and they take that and they slap it on their website or they carve it up for social media posts, whatever they were asking for. Chat GPT, they call it chat for a reason. It's conversational. It gets better when you ask it questions, when you challenge it, when you train it on your business and the voice of your business and how your business responds. So I think that that's the step that many small businesses are missing right now. They're just taking it. Look, Chat GPT can generate some really great quality stuff. Sometimes it's good to go out of the box, but that's usually because you've already done some pre-work and some prompting and some training on it.
Okay. So maybe tell us a little bit more. Obviously, we want content to sound realistic or personalized.
Yeah.
How do you go about that? What are your tools for that?
Yeah. What I like to do is I like to train any AI that we're using on behalf of our clients on that business. So, first and foremost, we generate a robust set of frequently asked questions. That's a huge missed opportunity, I think, for a lot of small businesses. They may have frequently asked questions on their website, but it may only be like 5 or 10, and they may be pretty generic. What we do is we train the AI, and it's got a nice benefit for your Google Business Profile as well. When you develop a nice, robust set of frequently asked questions and then answers from the business, and a lot of this can be initially created and generated by AI, Chad, but it needs to be human vetted. You need to take the output and then you need to work with your customer if you're providing marketing services, or if you're doing this on your own as a small business owner, go through those answers and make sure that it aligns with who you are, what you sell, what your values are, and eliminate anything that's not germane. So, for example, a mortgage lender that I've been working with here in Albuquerque generated a set of frequently asked questions, pretty in depth. One of the solutions that it recommended is a great program here in New Mexico, but it's something he didn't want to touch, he didn't tackle. It's outside of his realm of expertise, and he doesn't think it's a great solution for most of his customers. So we eliminated that. But then he went in and he also made sure that when he read these, that it was answering in his voice, that it did align, and that it was actually accurate, because Chat GPT isn't always accurate. Frequently there are errors. So you have to review everything.
It's interesting that I just had a thought pop in my head, but it's like maybe in its way that it's iterating and learning, it's becoming more human, and that it becomes inaccurate just like a human.
Yeah.
That is a drawback, I guess, to learning from our behavior and language.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's come a long way in the last year and a half, there's
Yeah.
no doubt, but it's still not perfect. And, the other thing that I think is a really great thing to do is to do deep research. It's so valuable, and you want to have a paid Chat GPT account to do that because it's going to give you far superior results. But ask complicated questions when you're asking it to generate the deep research, and it will give you fantastic output that you can take and use for tremendous insights. It can build content calendars, it can suggest YouTube shorts that you might want to create, things like that. But again, it all needs to be vetted and read and interpreted by a human to make sure that it's accurate and aligned with your business goals and objectives, and also the belief system that you have for your business.
Yeah. No, I think that's great advice and really practical. Um, I want to pivot a little bit. Now, you're a best-selling author on Amazon. You had some success with that. You've had multiple books. You were just telling me you had 3 books on Amazon.
Yeah.
Um, I'd be interested to hear about those books and what they contain, but then also a little meta question. How has the publication of those books enhanced your own business? Like, how has that supported the growth of your business?
Yeah. So, two of the books are getting a little long in the tooth, so to speak. They're written well before COVID, right before COVID, I should say. One is on reputation management. So online reviews continues to be an absolutely critical component for almost every business that's out there, especially local businesses. Super, super important. Then I did another book on social media marketing for restaurants. Again, a little outdated. Many of the principles are still, I mean, I generally try to look at evergreen solutions where, I don't like to lead people down a path that's not going to be an effective strategy. But, before I wrote that book, TikTok didn't exist. So, it's certainly out there. But the one that I think is the one that I'm most proud of is content marketing for local search. And it's really specifically for local businesses on how to create content to help them show up in local search results. And we just updated that book to include the use of AI and how you can deploy AI strategies to create that content throughout that book. So, having said that, how having a book has benefited me is, I mean, it's kind of the new business card, if you will, to demonstrate that you're an expert in your field. And I've been fortunate in this book. I had John Janch from Duct Tape Marketing. I believe it was the intro. I had Dr. Ivan Meisner from BNI actually wrote the foreword, and Jay Baer actually wrote the back cover. So anybody who knows anything about marketing, whether it's network and referral marketing or whether it's digital marketing, having those voices lend credence to your work is a pretty nice thing. So I didn't write it to generate a lot of sales. I wrote it to demonstrate my expertise and build authority.
That's fantastic. I've been approached by people that consult on writing a book. I haven't undertaken it, but I really admire people that have. I think that's a great vehicle to, like you said, demonstrate expertise and authority.
What I did for content for local search is I actually developed the outline, developed the questions to build the outline, or to fill in the details, I should say, the outline. And then I cheated because this was before AI. So I went and I got, 4 other marketing buddies of mine, and we divided and conquered. And, we all came from the Duct Tape Marketing Consultant Network. So we all come from the same strategy first as you're doing your marketing kind of approach, and an omni-channel driven approach for local SEO. And then we interviewed each other to capture the content,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
then had an editor kind of take it and all turn it into a common voice, so that sounds like it was written by just a single author. But having, and then when you do that, you have the benefit of having 4 other people co-market that book at your launch.
Yeah.
That's really the way to go. It's a technique I learned from Bestseller in a Weekend, which was a program I signed up for, gosh, years ago, actually before I wrote my first book. And it's
Yeah.
just a great strategy. If you have an outline of 10 topics and you develop 10 questions on each of those topics, and you hand that over to somebody and say, interview me on these topics, and then you record that session, that's going to give you probably 80% of the book that you need. And so then it's just a matter of doing the research to plug in the gaps, to validate the concerns, to cite the right sources, and then having a professional editor kind of take that and clean it up.
And I love what you're describing. I think it is almost like universally applicable that that kind of collaboration results in a better product overall. Like you have different perspectives. You also benefit from for authors that are promoting it, they have ownership and skin in the game. And, I think it could be applicable just for a marketing campaign, for instance, or other kinds of outreach. I think that's fantastic. We kind of know the backlinks principle in
Right.
SEO that
Yeah.
is very valuable.
Well, one of the things that I think is a real secret for a lot of businesses that they overlook is building a formalized referral program and building relationships with strategic partners, those people who can be goose referral sources for you. So, as an example, if you're a residential painter having a relationship with a realtor and an interior designer, and marketing heavily to them to get them to refer you business, is oftentimes easier and cheaper than trying to go out and just reach a set of cold people who have no idea who you already are. You've got to spend more money because you've got to reach a broader audience. The targeting may not be quite there, but when you can laser focus your marketing efforts to speak specifically to interior designers or to realtors, for example, as residential painter, with the goal of getting, a couple of those to be strategic partners for you, to be those golden geese referral sources, that's a very powerful thing.
Yeah, I love it. Now, if you mentioned that, your process, but if you were to start a new book today,
Yeah.
do you think you would approach it any differently? And maybe what would be the role of AI? Do you think you'd be leveraging AI to help you build out the content?
Oh, heavily. I, for example, start with deep research. Pick a topic and go through. So let's just say you were going to write a book on digital marketing for med spas as a marketing consultant. Start with deep research, understand what is going on, what marketing is working for med spas, what are the trends, what's the lifetime value of a client, what's the average transaction value. All of that is great material to take and put into your book. And then from that, you can take that deep research and you can actually ask it to outline your chapters for you and even develop key talking points or key sections that need to be covered within that book. And you can even get to the point where you could say, start writing it for you. But the value is going to be when you read it and you add in your expertise and your boots on the ground knowledge about working with that particular industry. AI made book writing uh, a lot more accessible for a lot more people, but it's also running the risk of producing a lot of crap. If you're going to do something like that, you have to train the AI to understand who are the right authorities, what are the right sources to draw from. And the deep research can be a really good start for that, but you need to provide additional information and you need to challenge it, ask it continually, can you do better? What am I missing? Where are there opportunities that med spas are not taking advantage of today? What are the tactics and strategies of where they need to double down? Ask those questions. And then you have to vet, yeah, trust but verify, right? I mean, so you take the results and then you have to go make sure, okay, yeah, that is legit. That does make sense. If AI recommended that they should do, oh, let's see, what's a good thing that a med spa should, well, let me change from med spas to,
Sure.
to emergency service type contractors like plumbers or somebody that can go in and fix a leaky basement, for example. If it's saying you should put all your money in Facebook ads, if that's what the AI is telling you, you need to challenge that because people don't go on Facebook when they have emergency needs to hire contractors to stop their leaks.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah, that's
because
great.
just because it's an answer and the information you get back from Chat GPT, it's not always right.
Yeah. Well, that I mean, there's a lot of good practical advice. I really appreciate you sharing so much. Now, I want to pivot a little bit. You're a prolific podcaster as well.
Yeah.
What would you say is the role of podcasting. I started a podcast this year myself. How do you balance the time you spend on it with the return? What kinds of considerations do you have? You have two podcasts. I feel like my podcast can take up a good chunk of my time. How do you balance that all out?
Well, I partnered with a couple of the guys, one guy that I wrote the book with, one guy who is my technical guru on my team, and then another long-term marketing friend. And so we have a co-hosted podcast. And so what we do to simplify is we've divided and conquered. So one person maintains our website, one person posts the podcast to the podcast networks, does the show notes, all of that kind of stuff. I handle the typically the booking the guests and running and recording the podcast, getting it professionally edited and turning it into, we also do video. So we put it on YouTube as well as video. That makes it a lot easier because, and then, what we did is we said, okay, whoever leads that episode, they get the rights to put it on their website for the SEO value that podcasts have. When you take the transcription and turn that into a blog post and you put that on your website, that's large amounts of quality, expert level content that you're putting on your website that has tremendous SEO value. So that's, we started it because we wanted to give back to the community and help a lot of people make better marketing decisions, and understand what's going on in the marketplace and, what we think is important for people to know and understand before they start, marching down their own marketing programs. The second podcast is 100% AI created, but 100% vetted by me. So the AI guides for small businesses, I've cloned my AI voice, I've cloned my AI video avatar, and I use AI to generate the title of the podcast, the outline, the description, and to generate the script. And once I'm happy with that, and I review it, me or Paul on my team will review this whole creation process. When I'm happy with it, we push a button and it puts it into my AI clone voice and it publishes out there to Spotify and Apple. And then I take that audio, I put it into HeyGen, which is a ridiculous tool. Everybody should be using HeyGen. I can't think of a better tool on the planet right now. And take that audio and use the AI clone version of myself to produce the video version of the podcast, which I put on YouTube. So, when you have a system, it can work pretty well. So we actually have several people involved in the creation of the Marketing Guides podcast. The AI podcast is just me and my video editor.
Okay. Well, again, you are really an AI content guru. I think this has been really beneficial. Just one final question. What is something that you're most excited about in the next few years? I mean, I guess it's hard to even forecast anything in years terms when it comes to AI, but what do you think is next that really excites you about AI and content?
Well, I think right now, most small businesses, there are so many statistics that will just blow you out of the water. So many small businesses never follow up on leads for a variety of reasons. One, they're busy working in their business. If you're up on a roof as a roofer, are you going to take a call when you get that call? Maybe, maybe not. You may not have anybody in your office. You may not want to be calling for, call centers because they can have, pretty dicey quality as well. But let me tell you, statistics are overwhelming. If you're not first, you're last, to quote Ricky Bobby from Talladega Nights, right? And so, if you are first, the statistics are overwhelming. You have an 80% better chance of closing that business, irregardless of price. So you could be the most expensive. So if you're tired of racing to the bottom to win business on price and price only, your best answer to that is speed the lead. You be the first to respond. You're going to shut everybody else out. Most people after COVID, they're just looking for a solution. They want to get it done. When they're ready to buy, you need to take advantage of that. You can't afford to miss any lead. 80% of phone call, if for a cold lead, 80% of people who get your voicemail will not leave a voicemail. they'll just go on to the next company. And we've all experienced this, right now, like a perfect example is after a hailstorm moves through, we're both, spend a lot of time. You're currently in the Midwest, and I just recently moved to the
Right.
Midwest. When there's a hailstorm and you call a roofing company, you're going to have to call probably 5 roofing companies, and you may get one call back because
Yeah.
they're so darn busy. But those roofing companies don't realize is there's a cost to missed opportunity. Not only are you missing the revenue, but your competitors love it because you're giving them the business because you're not taking advantage of somebody trying to reach out and hire you to do some work for them. So speed to lead is critical. I think AI voice answering systems, they are conversational. They're better than those horrible phone trees where you have to listen to like 15 options before you can even do anything.
Right.
AI, a phone assistant is going to handle that in a conversational way. So if you want to say, I need to speak to an agent or I need to speak to the sales department, it can transfer that right away. But the AI voice is also going to handle all spam calls. So it's not going to waste your time. It's going to keep you from having to make a decision. If you're a med spa or, hair salon owner, do you answer the phone? Because if you don't answer, you're going to miss that potential appointment from a customer and interrupt somebody who's actually sitting in your chair paying you right now. Are you going to piss off that customer because you're answering phone calls? You don't want to be in that situation. So, a lot of people, they just want to get it done. And so if they're calling your business, I don't think you can afford to miss any phone call.
Yeah, no, that's a excellent point. Ken, if people would like to work with you or learn from you,
Yeah.
I mean, you've listed off your books, your podcast.
Yeah.
Of course, I'll include all these links, but where's the best place to find you?
Well, probably starting at changescapeweb.com, my website. I mean, we do lots of different things. I'm always happy to hop on a call. People can go there and book a discovery call with me. Or if they're specifically interested in understanding how they might be able to take advantage of AI, I've got an AI success call that I'm happy to do with people. And I think that's probably the best place. Our YouTube channel is also where I'm actually doubling down and putting most of my content focus right now because YouTube Shorts seems to be the best performing channel for what I'm doing.
Okay.
And so it's just youtube.com /at Changescape is our channel. That's where
Okay.
all of our marketing guides podcasts go. That's where the AI guides, that's where all of the shorts that I'm doing, with tips about how you could take advantage of using AI for your business. Uh, so that's probably the best place.
Well, Ken, thanks so much for joining. And this was very informative. And, I look forward to future conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Reed. I enjoyed it.
Want to stay ahead of what's actually working in marketing right now? Head over to marketsurge.io and see how we're helping businesses grow smarter, faster, and louder. That's marketsurge.io, because your next breakthrough shouldn't be a guess.